This point of view. Thank you, Stephen. Well, welcome to the Cooking Corner. Here with us this afternoon is Montereau's Chef Joseph, and he's going to show us how to make a very fall type of dessert, an apple strudel. Chef Joseph, welcome back.
Well, thanks
as
for
always.
having me.
And this is a traditional Viennese dessert.
Correct.
All the way from Austria.
Yes.
And this is something we don't really see too much here in the U.S. Some places have it, but it's not as popular here as it is over in Europe.
Correct.
Okay, so how do we start with our apple strudel to make this?
So the first step you want to do is preheat your oven, 375 degrees. And while that's heating up, I would get your apples. In this case, we use Granny Smith. I think Granny Smith holds up really well during the cooking process and the baking.
Oh, does the apple make a difference if you use like a Pink Lady, for instance?
Yeah, well, if it's not a firm apple, it will kind of turn to mush, so you don't want to cook it. If you get a nice Granny Smith, it holds up, and plus the tartness evens out all the sugar you're going to add to it. So, so you take your apples, you peel them, core them, and cook them with a little bit of butter, sugar, some seasoning. You can use apple pie spice or just go the old traditional route of a little bit of cinnamon and clove and nutmeg, and cook that down till the apples are nice and tender.
Okay, about how long does that take on the stovetop?
It could take probably about 15 minutes at the most.
Okay, are you constantly stirring this too?
Yeah, you want to make sure you don't burn your pot and scorch your apples.
No, that would not be a good end result.
That would not be good, no.
Okay.
Then once you have that, while those apples are cooking, I would get your puff pastry out, flour your work surface down with a little bit of flour, and roll out your dough to probably about an eighth of an inch.
Okay.
Once that's done and the apples have cooled, you want to make sure they're cooled, because if you add hot apples to your pastry, it's probably not going to turn out very well. It's going to get soggy bottom.
Oh, not taste as well.
Yeah.
It might, but it's not going to look as pretty.
It's not going to look, and you know, you don't want soggy bottom.
And this dough, it's a lot thinner than traditional, or not traditional, but other desserts that we see more common over here that are a little bit thicker.
Yes.
Okay. And you can buy this dough, the strudel dough?
Yes, you can get that in your freezer section, probably where you see pies and pie shells.
Okay, can you use any type of dough, or is there one that you would kind of stray away from?
You could probably even use an old-fashioned pie dough. It might not get to the length you need, but you could still use it.
Okay, and then we have all that laid out, so how do we go about finishing this, making it look like this, like we want it to? So
what you want to do is, then you want to, once you have your dough on one end, you have your dough laid out, you want to put your apples down the one edge, and then you want to fold the dough over.
Okay.
And you want to kind of crimp it so it stays shut, and then you can make these little slits on the side, like we did right here.
Yep.
And then after that, you put your sheet pan, parchment paper, a little nonstick spray, and you put it in the oven and bake for about 40 minutes. 40 minutes
on 375, we said earlier. And so this is what it looks like, but to get it in the thinner slices that we will typically see, we just, of course, just slice that and just keep on going.
Yes.
Okay, and then you brought powdered sugar to top this off.
Yeah, it's, a little bit traditional, is some powdered sugar on top.
Yeah.
And if you want, you can also serve it with a little ice cream or even some whipped cream.
And we want this hot or cold served?
If you want to go the traditional route in Europe, they keep it room temperature, but nothing better than some warm apple pie, right? No, especially this time of year. We're going to get cool this weekend. All right, Chef Joseph, thank you so much. You can check out this recipe and others just like it by heading to newson6.com/recipes. Be right back after this with the last look at your weather.